All right, welcome to Dead Set Coding. Um, Today we're just going to extend what we did yesterday. Yesterday, let me share my screen. Yesterday, what we did was we created a command line journal. It was pretty simple. All it did was take in an entry and add it to a file. We're going to try to do the same thing, but this time in the browser. It's not going to be persistent like with the file as far as I'm not sure how that would work yet. Maybe it could be, but we're going to just go with the intention of being able to fill in a form with an entry and then add it to a list with a date stamp, basically. So let's go ahead and get started. Just share one. All right, so this is our code from yesterday. Let's start a new one, journal web app. So I'm going to go to, excuse me, sandboxes. New folder, journal, web app. Okay, perfect. Inside of that, we're going to create a new file. This time it's going to be index.html. HTML5, this is going to be journal web app. Okay, and let's make a new file. This is going to be index.html. No, I get a JavaScript file. Okay, and so here, think about what we need. I don't know if we have any dependencies yet, but one thing I think that we're going to do is bring in a new. I think we're going to use Bootstrap, get Bootstrap, and use this to format our page. So here we go, getting started. Let's just use the CDN stuff. So grab this. Latest optional theme compiled and minified. Bootstrap install. I don't think I need to do all this stuff. What is the Bootstrap, folks? File minified CSS. Optional theme. Yep, so we're just going to copy this. Come over here and let's do link. This stuff is going to go in the header or in the head file. And the JavaScript goes at the bottom. Okay, so let's save that. We want to, let's see, copy the path and open up this. Pull it up. All right. Journal web app. Great. Okay. Inside of the body, let's do an H1. And it's going to be, I don't think we need to have it. H1 dot, what do we do? So H1. And we're going to say journal web app. Wow. Perfect. Excellent. All right, so now for the JavaScript, let's want to script source. I do it. What is it? Script source. Script source index.js. All right. Here we have our index.js. Let's think about the things that we want to do. So we need an event listener. I know that much. So we need an event listener to listen for either enter key press, or we can have a button submit. Button So submit button. So that means inside of our HTML, we need to have a input and submit button. And then we need to have a place in the CSS or in the HTML to output journal entries. And I think it will just be a list. There'll be list item entries as list items. So there might be UL, example, list. Here, let's go over to our HTML. Okay, and we want to get components. We want to get input, right? Something like this. Yeah, this looks good. So button add-ons. Let's do, we want this inside of a row. So let's try the whole thing. Um, and I think we can take this out. All right, great. Okay, so we also need to have some type of an ID for the input, also in the button. So this, let me see. Let's see, class type button, class input. Let's have an ID equals entry input. Okay. And for the button, I'm not sure if we need to have a button ID, but we'll have ID equals entry input button. Okay, so let's grab this info, save this. We're going to put that info here so we have it handy. Entry input. So event listeners listen for either key press. And so we want to on key press or on enter or submit button clicked. Want a list item element to be added to the top of the list, I think. We want the most recent ones at the top. So most recent journal entries are at that's not a great point. Okay, so this seems pretty straightforward. We need to know how to create an element. Um, so actually, I'm gonna see. Now that I'm at this point, so what are some of the things that we need to be able to do? We need to be able to add an event listener. We need to be able to create um, a a node, I guess. Create an HTML element and add it to the DOM. Okay. And so these are things that I have to kind of go research. Typically, I guess we could do it. So how do we want to add event listener to button. Document get element by ID, add event listener. Document by ID demo. Let's try this. Try it. Hello world. Run. Hello world. This seems pretty reasonable. So this example uses add event listener method. So we want to say document. Let's grab this. Get element by ID in. Okay. Click. Journal web app. So add event listener and add. Okay, so event listener click and document get element by ID. We need to put an ID on our UL. So let's say this will be ID equals journal list. That's not a good idea at all. Journal list. Should it be more like journal UL? Okay. Not really inner HTML. We want to create. So we want to create get element by ID, and we want to append element by ID. This is going to be entry input. My button. Okay, so when we click the entry input button, we're going to append an element to the. So let's see, we want to create HTML element JavaScript. Create element method. Try it. Created a button. Okay. Create element. Document. Create element. Append child button. So we want to create, so let entry equal, we want to get element by ID, and we want to get the entry input dot um, we don't, so we don't want, we want it to value maybe. So we want to get value of input JavaScript value. Change the value. Okay. So entry equals the, and so we want to, in our HTML, want to then let new li equal create, so this is document dot create element li, and then we want to say the let, so we want to say new li dot inner text equals entry, and then we want to append child, so document get append child, append child new li. So when the button gets clicked, we're going to get the, and then what we want to do is, let's see, get an element by ID. So we want to get the, we want to say const equals input element, const input element equals this get element by D. Okay, and then element by ID, and then we want to use this input element here, and then we can also say input element value, so that we can then say input element dot value, and how do we set that? So we could say input element, we could say entry, how do we change the value? Input element dot value equals blank. So we clear it. Okay, let's try that. Let's save this and let's look at our web app. So search for, and we don't really need to search for this. It's going to be new entry. Go. Okay. Didn't change this at all. Let's see. Let's bounce back toward the console. Uncut reference get element by ID is not defined. 13. Get element by ID. Okay. Document by ID. So let's save that. Test. Okay. So we have append. Now I guess we need to try to test one. Okay, that's working. We want to use, can we do prepend child? Prepend JavaScript. Perfect. So instead of append child, we want to say prepend child. Prepend child. Does that work? Prepend child is not a function. Prepend child. Just prepend. Okay, that's working. All right, so now we got to add in that functionality where we're kind of adding in that string, the template string, with the date and everything. So let's head back over. So far, this is looking good. Let's make a couple of quick cosmetic adjustments to this. We don't want it to say search for, let's say input, um, so today's right, today's journal entry. Save. All right, so we got that. So let's look back at what we did yesterday with our journal app. Just grab some of that. So what we were doing was when we were writing it, we took the journal entry and we created a string here. So we're here where we say entry equals, let's put this is going to be input dot value here. And text in. This is unnecessary. Date now. Okay. Perfect. Okay. All right. So what else can we do? I think we don't have to have this test or example list item here. We can remove this. That still works. right. So, um, I think we got a little bit of a refresher on some of the things to do to, be updating this document, updating the DOM. I think it's fairly basic, but I think we can extend this and maybe start working on trying to make this persistent. Some other things we might want to do, we might want to see about formatting this. Some other things that we could do. Um, Maybe we just do something silly like make each one like a random color or something like that. But just some ideas for the next time. So thank you for joining us today and appreciate any comments. Make sure to subscribe, like, and add a comment below. And we'll see you next time.